All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a tool that honestly has been a total game changer for developers, GitHub Actions.
You know the feeling, right? You push some code, maybe it's a new feature, you merge that pull request, and then you just hold your breath. For just a second, you're crossing your fingers, hoping, praying you didn't break production. It's that little bit of anxiety every single one of us has felt.
But what if you could just get rid of that feeling? What if you could swap that hope for, actual certainty? Imagine every single push, automatically built, tested, validated, the whole 9 yards. Well, that's exactly what automation is all about. It's how you turn that stressful moment into something totally reliable and repeatable.
And the tool that brings all that power right into your workflow? That's GitHub Actions. And here's the best part. It's not some clunky third-party thing you have to bolt on. No, it's automation built directly into the platform you're probably already using every single day.
So, okay, what is it really? At its heart, GitHub Actions is an automation platform designed for, you guessed it, software development workflows. But the most important part of that whole definition, it's that last bit, right inside your repository. Your automation lives with your code. That's a huge deal. It makes everything super powerful and totally context-aware.
And when we say automate, we mean pretty much anything you can think of. Yeah, the big ones are continuous integration and deployment, CI/CD, but it goes way, way beyond that. You can automate publishing packages, handling issues, slapping labels on pull requests. Look, if you find yourself doing a repetitive task in your workflow, chances are you can automate it with Actions.
Okay, to really get how this works, I find it helps to think of GitHub Actions like a super smart assembly line for your code. So let's break down all the different parts of that assembly line, piece by piece.
First, you've got the workflow. This is the big picture, right? It's the complete blueprint for your entire assembly line. It lays out the whole process from start to finish, and it all gets kicked off by some kind of event, like pushing code or someone opening a new issue.
So inside that big workflow blueprint, you have one or more jobs. And a job is like a single station on our assembly line. You might have a build the code station, and right next to it, a run the test station. Each one of these jobs usually runs in its own fresh, clean virtual environment, which is really nice.
So what actually happens at each of these stations? Well, that's where steps come in. A step is just one individual task. It could be a super simple command line script like, npm install, or it can be something a lot more involved.
And that brings us to the real magic ingredient, the action itself. Think of an action as a specialized power tool. Why write a bunch of complicated script to, say, check out your code or set up a specific version of a programming language? You don't have to. You just grab a pre-built action off the shelf. It's this brilliant, reusable component that makes doing common stuff super fast and, more importantly, super reliable.
All right, let's put it all together and see our assembly line, in action. A developer pushes some code. Boom, that's our trigger. That kicks off our build and test job. The first step grabs an action to check out the code. The next step uses another action to set up the right Node.js environment. Then another step runs your tests. And finally, the whole job reports back. Did it pass or did it fail? It's a perfect example of how a really complex process gets turned into a simple, automated checklist.
Okay, so now that we've got the basic building blocks down, let's talk about the incredible power and flexibility this whole system actually gives you.
So remember those pre-built power tools, the actions? Well, get this, there are over 20,000 of them in the GitHub marketplace. No, that is not a typo. 20,000. The community has built actions for pretty much anything you could ever dream up, deploying to all the big cloud providers, sending Slack notifications, you name it, it's probably there.
And the things you can do with them? It's just so diverse. You can build and test your projects, whether they're in Go, Java, .NET, Python, whatever. You can publish packages to registries like NPM or Maven. You can deploy your apps to Azure, AWS, Google Cloud. You can even do boring repository maintenance, like automatically adding labels to new issues or closing out old, inactive ones. It really goes so far beyond just simple CI/CD. So, a really important question is, where does all this automation stuff actually run? And you've got two main choices here. First, you can use GitHub-hosted runners. This is the easy way. GitHub manages everything for you, giving you a fresh, clean virtual machine for every single job. It's simple, no fuss. But if you need total control, you can use self-hosted runners. You run these on your own hardware, which means you can customize the environment, the software, the security, literally down to the last detail.
And that really brings us full circle, right back to that main idea. GitHub Actions is all about giving you the power to automate.
to customize, and to execute your specific software development workflow, and to keep all of that logic right there in your repository, with your code, exactly where it belongs.
So as we wrap this up, the real question isn't what can GitHub Actions do, it's what are you going to do with it? Think about your day-to-day work, all those little manual repetitive tasks, the ones that make you cross your fingers and hope for the best. What's the very first one you're going to automate?